Good morning, LinkedIn, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and of course, LinkedIn Live. My name is Frank Lavinia, and you are watching what's become kind of a tradition in 2021. I started off the year with a goal to stream more and add more value to the community and help folks who are curious about data science and AI and career switching. And helping make 2021 a better year than 2020, because let's face it, 2020's kind of set the bar low for good years for most people. So with that, I kind of take some downtime I have while the kids are in a martial arts class, and I do a live stream every week. And this is also because I am a rather data-driven individual. I also like to track kind of like, well, one of the things a lot of the top streamers recommend for noobs and kind of people who are just slightly above noobs, that would be me, is to stream more on a regular time schedule basis. Now, during the week, this is a bit of a challenge because my job obviously takes priority and I have a lot of things going on and my schedule is kind of booked out about a month in advance. So what I like to do is I like to kind of, have these little moments. LinkedIn recommends a minimum of one of the things you sign when you become a LinkedIn streamer is you do a minimum of 15-minute streams, that sort of thing. So 15 minutes, I can work that out every once in a while. Yesterday I had an awesome stream with my brother from another mother, Andy Leonard, who's the co-host of Data Driven, and my co-founder of what we're calling Project Ringgate. It does have a proper name, but for now we're giving it a code name because code names sound cool. With that, hopefully you're having a good day. My heart goes out to those who are in Texas who are having issues with the weather. It's just awful, and not having electricity. The Gray Ghost. Enjoy the Saturday. When you say Gray Ghost, you mean my dog? I'm confused. I need to go get coffee, honestly. There's like a Dunkin' Donuts and a Starbucks here. Not just a Dunkin' Donuts, the Dunkin' Donuts where the name Data Driven came from, actually. The Gray Ghost. Yeah, I hope you're having a great Saturday too, Thomas. If memory serves, I think you're in New England, so you're kind of used to cold weather and such. Oh, wow. Your brother and family are in Houston. Yeah, hopefully they'll hopefully they're gonna get their electricity back. My beard. Oh yeah, I have that. I have the quarantine beard going on. I shave like once or twice a week. Mostly when it bothers me and gets itchy, I'll get rid of it. But it's one of the perks of quarantine. If it's an important meeting, I'll put on a nice shirt, like over the sweatpants. Well, not over the sweatpants, but you know what I mean. So hopefully you're having a good. I have new messages. Just joined. No. Sorry, you just joined. Speaking of brother from another mother, here's Andy Leonard. Andy and I recorded an awesome, almost like 90-minute stream yesterday. That was fun. Felt like it went like that. We had a lot of great interactions. So thank you for watching. You can check it out. So check this, Andy. You'll dig this. One of the things we talked about yesterday on our stream was using Power Apps. So through a long course of things, I work at the Microsoft Technology Center in Reston, and each one of us has kind of a. So to answer your question, Andy, no, I still have power, thank God. So one of the things that I was talking about folks who've lost power in Texas and how my thoughts go out to them. So one of the things that happened over the last 2 weeks was I attended a kind of a hackathon. I actually helped proctor a hackathon for Power Apps. And Power Apps has been on my radar. It's kind of like, yeah, that seems cool. I mean, when I first saw them, I was like, another low code solution. But then I started kind of catching videos and kind of, Ignite sessions and build sessions on them. I'm like, there's some interesting opportunity here. And there's been a couple of interesting Channel 9 videos, YouTube videos, where I'm like, and I post these on Frank's World, right? So one so I had the chance to kind of help proctor this hackathon for a couple of customers. I kind of sat in on it and I was like, I really like this. So I started coming up with ways to, as you know, I produce a lot of content. And so with that, I decided, you know what, maybe I can kind of automate this. So I actually came up with a couple of solutions. And some of these solutions are kind of half baked, but you know what? I'd rather like take a swing at it. A messy action beats perfect inaction every single time. So what I ended up doing was, if you go to franksworld.com, the first post, the latest post, um, was actually I have it set to automatically post whenever I post something to the YouTube channel. So when I stream, this goes. I cross stream to YouTube, and I was wondering what would happen if I did a live stream, and apparently it the Power App connector connects that too. So boom. Now the only problem is that two problems. One, it doesn't give a category to the post, and two, it doesn't provide a thumbnail. So other than that, it's pretty epic how that works. So I'm going to see if I can kind of add that, at least the category, because that's more difficult to change than the thumbnail. For live streams, I can either just do a quick screen cap of one of the frames, or just kind of have a generic, like, Frank's World stream type thing going on. Yeah, so automation is pretty awesome. And so hopefully, yes. Thank you. Happy Saturday to you as well. Um, the other thing we discovered yesterday was something I had long suspected. So I get a number here on my screen showing me how many people are watching, and I noticed that there seems to be a discrepancy what I saw on LinkedIn versus what I see here. And Andy was able to confirm that yesterday, so that was fun. I think, Andy, that was our record breaker of a how long we had a stream. I do know that Kate Strachny, she actually did an experiment almost a year ago now, where she had basically ran the stream for 8 hours, at least on LinkedIn. Um, Most of these platforms tend to have a max out of 8 hours. And awesome. Well, you be safe out there, although you're in New England, so you're safe. So horseback riding lessons for the kids. That's awesome. You're an awesome dad. I've been thinking about there's a place not too far from me that has horseback riding lessons. Um, Thinking about doing that. Right now, they're doing martial arts, so which I've noticed has really gives them like mental focus too. It helps them focus on something, and it gives them something physical to do, because honestly, I don't know if you've seen it, but gym class or PE over Zoom is a comedy. It really is. It's just a joke. Like some of the, I don't blame the school system. I it is what it is. They have to work with what they got, but you know, I don't know. I'd rather get a Peloton or something and get them into riding. I don't know, particularly in the winter. Although today they had a blast, like sledding and stuff like that. Our driveway is one big sheet of ice, so I was digging it out and salting everything down like crazy. So, but yeah, so it was a great stream, and I love doing these streams. This week was nuts, 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 nuts. I had so it's 4 work days, but I've had 4 engagements over 3 days. Yeah, so I was double booked most of the week, which, as much as I kind of start complaining about it, I kind of stop and get grateful, because as a former Windows Phone developer and Silverlight developer, I know what the opposite is like, right? Not being relevant, which is actually something that I was going to talk about, because John Lee Dumas, who is a host of Entrepreneur on Fire, he has a new book coming out, and it's called The Common Path to Uncommon Success. And if you bought like one of the early copies, you had access to kind of like a private Zoom call that he did, where you can ask him questions and stuff. And so someone asked him a question. He goes, what was the hardest time of his life? And it was when he left the military and he started going to law school. And he didn't want to go to law school. He didn't want to be a lawyer. He basically figured it out after the first year of law school. And he tells his own story way better than I could. But he actually brought up something that I think certainly resonated with me, and based on the chat that I saw and the questions that came in after, was, after he left the military and he decided he didn't want to go to law school, he really struggled with the notion of relevance. And I should probably put this off to silent mode so it doesn't interrupt. Where basically he didn't feel like relevant anymore, and I know that struck a chord with me because I wrote a Silverlight book. I was a tablet PC MVP. I spent the majority of my career, actually the entirety of my career, from about 2004 to 2013, 2014, as a client developer. Now, those technologies ran from um, Windows Forms, ASP.NET, as well as kind of WPF, Silverlight, Windows Phone, Windows 8 apps or Metro apps, until the lawyer said we couldn't call them Metro apps anymore. I really built up level 400 or 500 skills in that space. And then when Windows Phone did not uh, go over well. I'm recording this on an Android. Um, I have an iOS device in the car, right? I really struggled with, what am I going to do now? And fortunately, I had the opportunity to discover data and data visualization in about 7 years ago now. And, coming up with this is when I was working on K Street for the government relations team, and, building out, taking kind of raw census data, US data, open data, and kind of crafting that into really good data visualization and stories, and really understanding the importance of storytelling, which is just incredibly important when you want to capture an audience's attention. And that's something I kind of, I guess, intuitively known, because I was also an evangelist. That's kind of, when you do that job, you're kind of tossed into the fire a lot. So, and then you kind of learn what works and what doesn't work. Or as I would say today, it's a reinforcement learning problem. And then really was, I was kind of doing that. I was kind of doing the government affairs thing, and that's a weird experience. One day I'll write about it. But I didn't really find that the engineer in me was slowly getting more and more dissatisfied. Although I did work on some cool projects, mostly around IoT, smart cities type stuff. Those were the little gems I really enjoyed. Going to a congressional office and telling them all about, well, here are the top 10 tricks for Excel and PowerPoint. Well, fun. It didn't really satisfy my inner engineer. It didn't speak to my truth, as some people would say. So when I had the opportunity to attend an internal conference, and we talked about this, I talked about the show before. I've recorded live kind of podcasts from the parking lot of it, MLADS, and I kind of saw the light. That was my aha moment. That really just kind of shifted, because there's a good engineering story here, and I just want to give a shout out to Andy, because I think he's watching, for helping mentor me through that, and understanding that there's a satisfying engineering aspect to data, a challenging aspect of data. And ever since then, ever since like that time, I've just been going whole hog. And I started my certification kind of madness in 2016. I don't know, I haven't did a count lately, but I'm in the 80s now, low 80s, mid 80s, for a number of certs that I have and classes that I've taken. So, so when I say, and I kind of kicked off the stream, and if you just joined, take my word for it, I did talk about this, is that what I want to do after seeing kind of the devastation of 2020, and just how people who are in retail, people who are in hospitality, I want to help them. I want to help people kind of up their game. I want to help people find new careers. I want to help people. I want to take the knowledge that I've done and, oh, thanks, Andy. I always do enjoy gratuitous praise. but I will respond to that with no. You demand. Um, is that a lot of folks are focused on teaching people how to code, and that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but the um, the problem with that is there's more to a career in technology than just coding. So I think one is that there's a certain group of people that are going to self-select to go into these coding boot camps. That's awesome. Good for them. But there's also going to be a large, I don't know how big, right? I don't have data. This is just conjecture, a hypothesis, if you will. That's one of them $5 words, right, Andy? In Farmville, they're $5 words. Up around DC, it's a little more expensive. It's a $10 word. Um, but there's going to be people that walk into kind of coding and like realize it's not for them, and they'll think that a career in technology is not for them. Who knows? Maybe a career in technology isn't for them, but there's so much variety of the types of roles that a good technology team needs. Oh, $3 words. Whoa. Squirrel. That there's different types of roles, whether it's QA. And there was a guy I went to high school with, and we kind of reconnected over social media over the years. And um, he was like, he got laid off from his job, and I was like, well, if you want to do a career in technology, I can help you. And I was like, look at these links, and it's like, and if you don't like coding right away, because he was kind of wound up about learning how to code, and he doesn't have a degree in comp sci, which having a degree in comp sci, I will say, yeah, it's helped. I mean, it mostly does it help in my day to day? Not really, because I mean, it does help in the sense that where it really helps is that it's on my resume that especially starting out, that I was a comp sci major. So that's where it really helps. In terms of day to day, I mean, I know people that I went to school with that, they just did their coursework. They didn't do anything kind of outside the coursework. So when they graduated, they were in top-notch PL1 Pascal developers and a couple of Prolog developers. But if you look at the real job market, the real action was in VB3 or Visual Basic at the time, or C, C++, working on things that had not yet reached academic computer science. So computer science itself, I mean, if you're in a position where you can go back to school, or you're at that age, yeah, computer science is the way to go. Now, as I get older, there are certain edge cases that I come across where, like, for instance, the quantum computing video that I rave about, it's basically quantum computing for computer scientists. So computer science isn't just about coding. Computer science is also kind of about building out discrete mathematical modeling and logic gates and things like that. The types of things that, honestly, if you're working for like just your average company, you're building a website, doesn't really come up that often. Now, I don't say that to disparage kind of website building or web design, because that's a discipline unto itself. And it certainly is a moving target in terms of what's, good libraries and all that jazz and technology. But you have to have a certain kind of logical flow or ability to kind of think abstractly and do that. You don't need a comp sci degree to do that. Guarantee it. Can you get through a comp sci degree without that? I've seen a couple of people do it. But I think that there's kind of there's different kind of flavors of comp sci, and if you wanted to get into more esoteric things, then comp sci is a safe bet where it's needed. But I mean, some of the best coders I know didn't even go to college. They're all self-taught. I think it really depends on what's between your ears and how you feed what's between your ears. So I told him, I was like, you know what? Here's a couple of links. Get started with coding. And if you like it, then it's for you. If you don't like it, but then you're like in the shower, or you're driving, or you're having coffee, and then you can't stop thinking about it, even if you don't like it, I told them, then you're a natural. Because that's kind of that obsession almost that Andy and I talk about, kind of weaponizing our OCD. and weaponizing our flaws, as you will. You know, there's definitely kind of that you just can't let that problem go, and you stick with it, almost like a pit bull, and kind of just stick with it till you solve the problem, and you get that rush. When you solve the problem, then the life of coding is totally for you. But even still, like, there's plenty of jobs that don't involve coding that do have a good flexibility. A great example is QA, right? You basically run the system, you write the tests, the script. Ideally, you write the scripts, but you just try to break stuff, right? I mean, and then you can kind of log how stuff is being broken. So, that whole learn to code thing, we've addressed this on the podcast too, and how that's become a nice little soundbite where you can reskill people to learn to code. And I know brilliant network engineers can't code a lot. They say they can't code, but if you tell them that shell scripting and PowerShell and Bash scripting, that's actually code, then they kind of like, yeah, but it's not code. It's one of those finer points. So there's plenty of things. There's security, there's pen testing. There's a huge array, a wide diversity of roles that are available in technology that you really don't know how to code at all. And I think that's an important message to get out because, we live in a soundbite culture, right? Everything is done by soundbite. Learn to code, right? Do this, learn to code. Coding is an important skill, but the more important thing is digital literacy. You don't have to know how the electrons are flowing through a circuit, but you at least need to know why certain things are the way they are. You don't have to be a mechanical engineer to know that going 90 miles an hour in first gear in a car is a bad idea. You don't need to know the gear ratios, but you need to know that it's a bad idea and maybe a little bit on why it's a bad idea. And I think that's I know Andy and I are very passionate about kind of teaching people. That's how we actually met, like starting the Richmond SQL group, doing the Richmond Code Camps, and you know there's people tend to veer towards elitism, like, oh, but it doesn't have to be that way. And again, it goes back to what's between your ears, and what you feed what's between your ears, I think matters most. So with that, I've been yapping for about 20 minutes. I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching either live or later. Uh, Thanks for leaving comments and interacting, because it definitely helps get the message out. Helps helps me help more people. Basically, the LinkedIn algorithm definitely prefers it when people kind of interact and in real time. I don't If you look at my subscribers on my YouTube channel, you'll know I'm not exactly the person to talk about YouTube, the algorithm. But when it comes to at least LinkedIn, I kind of know a thing or two. Oh, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Andy. Good show. Thank you. Thank you. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's possible with Power Apps. So here's kind of the even that kind of like elitist mindset. I kind of look down at like low code solutions, but then I realized like it doesn't really matter, right? It's what really matters is productivity. And if I could be more productive using a low code solution, what really matters is, am I getting my goals done, right? So I think that holds true for business, right? Are you getting the job done? Does it matter if it's written in C++? I mean, I had this debate goes back to my start of my career. One of my first paying jobs was I was writing Visual Basic code at a major Wall Street bank, and as an summer intern. And there was another guy who basically was super arrogant, and he did this whole thing where we really should rewrite this application in C, Visual C++. Like, why? Like, why would you do that? Just because it's faster. And you know what? Technically, nice, Thomas. Cool, man. I'm on the road. I'm your co-pilot. That's cool. Drive safe, man. So he was basically all about like, no, you got to redo this in C. And I'm like, why? Because it'll be faster. And he, technically he's right. A good C++ coder can write something that's faster. But for this application, which basically you typed in a text message. So there used to be this thing, kids, called pagers. And if you were really macking, you got an alphanumeric pager, which you can basically send messages to. And honest to God, most people who would use it, they call an 800 number, they give like another number, and then someone on the line would type it. You talk to an operator, and the operator would type your message and send it to the pager, and you would see that. But there was also a modem, the dial-up number that you could do, and you can pass in kind of credentials and stuff. So my first application I wrote that was widely deployed was called Beep Mail, which basically you would send essentially what's a text message today. And it was written in Visual Basic. And then ultimately the Visual Basic thing made a network call to a server we had set up with what would be analogous today to the desktop automation, which is a long-winded way of saying it's you sent it a message, you typed in a message, you clicked send, and then it would pass the message off. Now, Visual Basic, people love Visual Basic, people hate Visual Basic, right? Doesn't matter. I was able to write that production grade in under 2 weeks. Now, could I have written it faster in C, C++? Yeah, probably. But it wouldn't have taken that amount of time. There's just a lot of groundwork at the time. Maybe it's better now. The tooling is better now. To build it out to save what? I don't know. 1 millisecond faster? It's not like I'm writing a video game. And that was kind of my point. And that's when I really had that aha moment. Because one, bad C++ programmers, and it turns out there's a lot more of them, can really create major security leaks, memory leaks, all sorts of problems. But if you're kind of at a higher level, you don't have to worry about that core stuff and you can be more productive. So I often think back to that experience and you know, it's really about productivity, right? If I could write a product, you know, there's all sorts of ideas and stuff in my head about what I want to build to help automate some of my content production and just make my life easier in general, but I haven't written them, right? I can code in Perl, C#, JavaScript if I have to. I haven't written them. Why? Well, I got 5 dogs, 2 kids, and an actual job and a life and all that. But if I can just with a, you know, a few stolen moments here, you know, 15, 20 minutes here, build out a solution where I'm not really worried about the actual plumbing underneath. I'm worried about the logic and the flow of how things work. I can code up a solution. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. So it's really about the end goal. It's not about the technology. And a lot of technologists, and I'm guilty, I've been guilty of it too, we kind of put the cart before the horse. And, you know, who cares what is written in? Is it secure? Does it do what it's supposed to do? Is it effective? Is it cost effective? That's what really matters. You know, and if you're a hardcore coder, you can code in C# or I mean C++, and you know, write the you know, that machine code level. Good on you. Trust me, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for you. But one of the things that was really fascinating, and you'll hear this on a lot of power apps, Power Platform talk tracks, is the idea that the number of business applications that have to be written in the next 5 years are basically twice the amount that's been written in the last 40 years. Even if that math is a little bit off, I mean, the opportunity is there. And the opportunity to do robotic process automation, it's there. There's a huge opportunity. So I'm excited about Power Apps. I've had a lot of fun with it. I'm only like a week or 2 into it. Udacity has a free class on it. About a little more than halfway through that now. And, you know, it's what I really would like to see. I mean, the course as it is now, their audience is people who have no experience in coding. And there's a whole kind of intro segment on that, on that and why that is. But it'd be kind of cool to see a course on, you know, what does Power Apps mean for kind of professional developers? You know, I was poking around yesterday looking at how I can build my own connectors for my own flow, because there's just some things that existing parts don't do or don't do the way I want to do, you know. But I'm hoping to get some time playing with that. So with that, I want to wish you a happy weekend, happy Saturday, wherever it is. I hope you're safe and warm And if you don't have power, I hope you get it soon. And with that, I'm going to end the stream. Have a great one, everyone.